Hope you're well today. It is June 19th. Appreciate you joining me for another look into God's Word. Picking up today in 2 Kings chapter 12, we spoke, it was just yesterday, where we spoke about this passage with the repairing of the temple that was happening, where they have to, hadn't been done for some time. But to move a little bit past that, our reading today is actually verses 17 as it starts speaking about the king of Syria fighting and the death of Joash. And now come on to chapter 13. Jehoahaz reigning in Israel, following along in the footsteps. Remember, all the kings of Israel, they're all evil. The kings of Judah, a lot of them were evil, but every once in a while you get a good one. I think we understand that because where was the temple? The temple was in Jerusalem. But anyway, to read on, Jehoash reigns in Israel. You have the death of Elisha in this chapter, in that account where speaking with the king of Israel. And anyway, as you have the whole, strike the ground and the arrows and that account. Where I wanted to read today was verse 22. Hazael king of Syria oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz, but the Lord was gracious to them, had compassion on them, and regarded them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them or cast them from his presence. And I just wanted to look at that because all of a sudden you're sitting here going through all these kings, this king this king that, and then all of a sudden we're talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob again. And it just made an impression on me that in the midst of all of this, we have this remembrance of the covenant. And so very simply, I want you to think about the nature of that covenant, because part of the nature of that was looking backwards to the past. He remembers the covenant he had with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he remembers the promises that were made. But he remembers them. He remembers them. Abraham, father of the faithful, coming out, right? Get out from your home, from your family, right? You have that passage. To a land I will show you. Remember when Abraham and Lot separate, right? Lot lifts his eyes, looks over, and pitches his tent as far as Sodom. And then after Lot's gone, the Lord appears to Abraham and says, now lift your eyes up and look north, south, east, west. Look around, and it's the promised land. And you have a covenant. And the Lord, in the midst of these kings going back and forth, and the few who are faithful, the remnant that are faithful, Elijah, Elisha, certain kings. Some kings do a lot of good, a lot of them left the high places, but in the midst of all of that, the Lord remembers. The Lord remembers from days gone by, in the covenant that was made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So there's a past aspect to the covenant. There's the present aspect as well. Namely, and the Lord was gracious to them and had compassion on them and regarded them. That's what was happening presently. Because of the covenant that was made, because he remembered that covenant, the Lord was gracious to them and had compassion on them. And so there is a present nature to the covenant. And then there's the future component of the covenant as well, because we know ultimately what was the covenant, what was one of the aspects of the covenant, and it's the seed promise. And so the Lord is not going to allow them to be completely wiped off the map. There are going to be times where they are oppressed. There are going to be times where there's going to be captivity. There's going to be times that are extremely difficult. But the Lord is never going to allow, think about Esther, and think about Haman and Mordecai, and how Haman wanted to wipe the Jews completely off the map. The Lord is not going to allow that to happen. Why? Because of the covenant. And within the covenant, there's a past aspect. I remember the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's a present aspect where he has compassion on those in present. And then there's the future aspect because he knows what's coming. He knows who's coming, the Messiah. And that's the nature of the covenant. And so we might think about the new covenant, and we might think about things that have happened. Jesus going to the cross. This is my blood, the blood of the new covenant. We might think about present as we appreciate the forgiveness of sins, right? No one who has left father or mother or lands or these things who will now, as it speaks about, there's a future aspect and a present aspect of salvation, who will now in this time find how, and it's talking about the kingdom, that the verse that I'm hashing up, quoting, that will now in this time, search that phrase, you'll find it. There's a past aspect, Jesus going to the cross. There's a present aspect as we enjoy salvation. There's a future aspect as we press on, because we have not yet laid hold. And so we look forward to the resurrection. We look forward to heaven. We look forward to when faith is made sight. Appreciate you as we think about the covenant. Hope you're having a good day. Hope this has been helpful for you. Please tune in. Join us for our next brief look into God's Word.